Hello guys, good evening to everyone. It's me Thales. You're watching my channel dedicated to English language. I cover from basic to advanced. And as I say every beginning from my videos, we have two different playlists. Basic, which is explained in Portuguese and is aimed at beginners. And I have another one, intermediate advanced, which is aimed at people who already have a good understanding of spoken English. And intermediate advanced videos, such as this one, is recorded entirely in English. Before we begin, don't forget, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell as I upload videos almost every day, and give a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. Well, last video, which was recorded on Christmas Day, I was talking to you about relative clauses, right, and differences between many expressions. We will continue talking about relative clauses and some differences, okay? So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with today's topic. I just hope I can find everything I need. I told you before, but it's never enough to say that we have more than 400 videos available, right? Which are split into two different playlists, basic and intermediate advanced. So there is a lot of content for you to watch, okay? Let's see some examples. When you say, my sister Mary, who lives in New York, is a nurse. You know, it's very common in Portuguese, especially, to use expressions which explain something about a noun. Here we are talking about my sister, okay, for example, and she lives I'm going to sneeze. Jesus Christ, God bless me. My sister Mary is a noun, and who lives in New York is additional information. Why is it additional? It's not necessary for me to say where she lives. I could say my sister Mary lives, my sister Mary is a nurse, okay? Or I can give more information about people I'm talking about. So my sister Mary, who lives in New York. So this person who said this wanted to explain who she is, okay? So when you want to give some extra information about something, on something, you can use a relative clause, right? Relative clauses beginning with who refer to people, right? We also understood that. She told me about her trip, which she enjoyed very much. In this other example right here, we have she told me about her trip. Okay, we were talking about her trip, so she told me about it, how her trip was. She traveled to Europe, and she said which she enjoyed very much. Here we also have some extra information beginning with the word which. Remember, From the last video, the last few videos we have been talking about relative clauses. You remember that which we talk about things, who we talk about people, and that you can use for both, right? You also have where, and you can have whom, right? There is also another video before. You can search in the playlist. I talk about where and whom. Whom is used more in written language, and where it's when we talk about people. And whom is very used with prepositions. To whom, from whom, right? So have a look, watch my previous videos about relative clauses, and you will understand it better, okay? When we use, there are certain types of clauses that we don't use commas, okay? Comma is this. This is a comma. When you give extra information about someone, such as in this example about my sister Mary, I used two commas, right? One before the relative clause and one another the relative clause. My sister Mary, who lives in New York, is a nurse. So this is extra information, so you have to use commas. Depending on the situation, you have to use commas. We will see another sentence that you don't use comma. Okay? Mary is a nurse who lives downtown. In this example, we don't use commas. And I want you to understand why we don't use commas. Mary is a nurse, okay? All right. So this is a sentence. Who lives downtown is the relative clause, right? First of all, I want to give an extra information, or I want to narrow down the possibilities. Because here we are talking, Mary is a nurse, okay. But I want to specify, it's like to narrow the possibilities. Here we have all the nurses of the world, okay? And here we are talking about one specific nurse that lives downtown. You see, you want to know what kind of person, what kind of nurse she is. I'm giving some extra information. Yes, it's kind of information. It's an information I'm giving about her, but the purpose here is different. I'm saying that she's a nurse who lives downtown. Here you don't use commas. Okay? Sony is a company that makes PlayStation. For example, I could use which or that, okay? That is employed both for things, animals, and people. And which is used specifically for people, or for things, or animals. When I say Sony is a company, okay, I know there are many companies in the world, okay? Sony is also a company. Microsoft is a company as well. But here I want to give information about what kind of company this is. So you say Sony is a company that makes PlayStation, that sells PlayStation. PlayStation is a trademark from Sony. It's a video game that is made from Sony. Okay? So it's the only company that makes PlayStation. Microsoft doesn't make PlayStation. Microsoft is a company which makes Xboxes. Okay? So you see, when you want to give some information about what kind of thing, what type of thing, or what type of person, what kind of person, you are giving a characteristic, you are giving away some information about it, but you don't use commas after that. Okay? Let's understand something very different. You say, for example, do you know anyone who speaks Chinese? Do you know anyone? I don't know anyone who speaks Chinese. Yeah, if I was to learn another language, I guess I would like to learn Italian. But Chinese, maybe because of China's importance, right? China is a mega power, right, in the world. And I believe it will soon surpass the US as the largest economy in the world. But Chinese, I don't know. Chinese is spoken only in China, right? It's like Portuguese. Portuguese is spoken in Brazil, in Portugal, and some small countries around the world. But Portuguese has the importance it has nowadays because of Brazil, obviously. But anyway, let's get back to the subject. When you say, do you know anyone who speaks Chinese? You can say who or that. Anyone is the same as anybody. Anybody, it's about people. You can replace body with one. You can say either anyone or anybody. The same thing you can say with someone. Someone is the same as somebody. They have the same meaning. Any is used when you ask questions and when you make negative sentences, whereas somebody is only used in affirmative sentences. Sometimes you can use some in questions when you want to offer something, when you ask for something, ask politely for some information. When you go to a restaurant and you say, would you like some coffee? Somebody offers you coffee. Okay, there are exceptions, but as a rule of thumb, any is used only for questions and negative, whereas some is used for affirmative. Okay, that and the who we use for people. Okay? But I mentioned that who can be replaced with that. But not all situations. There are some sentences in which you can't use that. When I say, for example, Thales, that's me, Thales, who speaks Portuguese, is Brazilian. Okay, can you use that in this sentence? Thales that speaks Portuguese is Brazilian? No, you can't. Okay, so be warned. Some sentences don't allow you to use that because who speaks Portuguese is a relative clause that is related to the subject Thales. And it's weird you can't use because who works as a subject. Who is the subject of the relative clause. You can replace who with the name of the person you are talking about. You can say, Thales speaks Portuguese, or who speaks Portuguese. So it works as a subject and you can't replace it with that. You can't. In this sentence, you can't. So be careful with these relative clauses and the expressions we are talking about, okay? Well, next video we will continue talking more about it. I hope you have a wonderful day and see you soon. Bye bye.